Anti-Semitism, Jew hate, is nearly as old as time. There are fewer than 16 million Jews in the world. That's about 0.2% of the world's population. Here in the U.S., the home to approximately 6 million Jews, Jews are the targets of about 60% of religious-based hate crimes. So where does this hate come from, and how is it connected to the pro-Palestinian protests we see raging on college campuses? Joining me now are Noa Tishby and Emmanuel Acho. They are the co-authors of a new fascinating and very important book, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Jew. Thank you, both of you, for being here. Noa, you spent much of this book explaining the roots of anti-Semitism, how it shows up in nearly everyday rhetoric. And we're now seeing a lot of that language on college campuses. I'm guessing you're not surprised by that.
No, sadly, I'm not surprised by that, because we have been talking about the connection between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism for a very long time. The thing to understand is that anti-Semitism is not just simple racism. It's a shape-shifting conspiracy theory, and it shifts every few generations to something new. And now, it shifted to anti-Israel rhetoric. So I do believe that this book couldn't have come in a more appropriate moment in our culture, because sadly, it is very uncomfortable to be a Jew these days. And I'm so thrilled that Emmanuel reached out to me, wanting to write this book together and be a true ally to the Jewish community. We can't do it alone. And
Emmanuel, this book was born out of two people, the two of you, with very different life experiences, showing up to have a difficult conversation. Multiple conversation about Jews, Judaism, and Jew hate. Now, right after October 7th, Noah's message to you was to check in on your Jewish friends. Talk about the impact that had on you and your view of anti-Semitism and quote-unquote anti-Zionism.
Yeah, Dana, well, I believe that proximity, it breeds care, and distance, it breeds fear. And a large part of the problem in society right now is we're not close enough to one another. How could I be empathetic towards my Jewish brothers and sisters if I wasn't educated on what broke their heart? How could I be empathetic towards my Palestinian brothers and sisters if I was not educated on what broke their heart? And so really the purpose of the book was to educate myself. What does anti-Semitism even mean? Is there a Semite group that you can be anti? No, there's not. So if I don't know what anti-Semitism is, how can I avoid being anti-Semitic? So the purpose of the book, the purpose of Noa and I's conversation, was to be a reflection to society about what we can do to bring forth peace, bring forth unity, bring forth love. Educate yourself, have an uncomfortable conversation, and with education can come empathy.
And Noa, did you both talk about some of the pain that I'm hearing from Jewish liberals that they marched not only in the 60s with African Americans, but even a couple of years ago after George Floyd, that they don't feel that same camaraderie necessarily today?
Yeah, the Jewish community feels very isolated and very much alone, and both Emmanuel and I are very concerned about the schism that has been created between the Black and the Jewish community. The unity and the partnership between the Blacks and the Jews is unparalleled in American history and the history of the world. The things that we were able to achieve together are extraordinary, and neither Emmanuel nor I are willing to let that schism continue. So this is really a first step in recreating that relationship, reimagining that relationship, because when two marginalized communities are pitted against one another, the powers that be win. So we can't let that continue anymore, and that's one of the, the greatest commitments that we want to achieve from this book, is this Black and Jewish unity yet again in America.
Emmanuel, do you have a quick add to that before we go to break?
I will add very quickly. I will quote James Baldwin in a 1968 article of the New York Times, and he said, "The crisis in the heart and minds of Black people everywhere, is not caused by the Star of David, but rather the old rugged Roman cross on whom Christendom's most prized Jew was murdered, and not by Jews." As a son of a pastor myself, I found that quote to be the most profound as it pertains to the dilemma right now between the Black and Jewish community.
Emmanuel, Noa, thank you both. The three of us are going to continue this conversation. We'll be posting it this afternoon online. Thank you both.